But
Awesome.
now the subject that we really want to talk about and that people don't know much about, a lot of people are very good at iron deficiency. They don't understand iron overload as much.
Hmm.
So now let's talk about iron overload. Iron, like I said before, is necessary for life, but it's also a toxin. And it's a toxin that is bioaccumulative. It accumulates, and we don't have any physiological way of getting rid of iron. Once iron is absorbed, you cannot get rid of it. So there's a study that showed um, the relationship between testosterone and ferritin. So it's an interesting relationship. So when we grow and then we go through a growth period, this is when like puberty, and then you grow. You get a peak of testosterone during puberty, right? 12, 13, 15, 20s. This is the time where you get muscle growth, bone growth, everything is growing. This is the time that you're in an anabolic period naturally. So your testosterone level goes up. And they've seen that this is the time that you get the most iron absorption also. This is the time also that you have the lowest iron stores as a man because your body's utilizing iron to create new muscle, new bone, new brain connection. So just think about when we were 14, 15, 16, you would grow in the summer. I grew 4 inches in the summer. I built muscles. You need iron for this. You need testosterone. So testosterone and iron are very closely regulated together.
Yeah.
So the usual way is for a men and women, but men, because they have more testosterone, they grow more muscles. When they go through puberty, their testosterone levels go up, their iron absorption goes up. You may see that their ferritin and their iron indices are lower because whatever you absorb, your body uses it to grow muscle, to grow bone. But
Yeah.
starting at the age of about 30, the iron, it's we've grown already. There's no more growing. So the iron requirements decrease. They go back to normal. Testosterone also from the age of 30 kind of goes down. So iron and testosterone work together. But the body again is very smart. So when you get that push of iron in your teens, iron decreases hepcidin, and it decreases hepcidin, so it leaves open the channel to get more iron into our blood from the gut and from the spleen to put it in there. So remember that relationship, that testosterone decreases hepcidin because it has a lot to do with hemochromatosis,
Yeah.
right? So now what happens starting the age of 30? Everybody starts accumulating iron because in our diet, we eat way too much iron. In the US and many countries in Europe, they added iron to our food, to mostly every flour, every grain. So anything you're eating in the US, if you're eating crackers, bread, cereal, pasta, anything with grain, it has iron in it. And they put organic iron that has a high absorption rate. So they did this to help combat iron deficiency in women. It's still existent. But now they expose too much iron to a lot of people who don't need iron. Men, after the age of 30, they don't need to take more iron. They've already accumulated the iron. Unless you're bleeding, you're in an accident, your body has more than enough iron stores to keep the function of what is necessary because it's only a very small amount of iron that the body needs. The RDA, the recommended daily allowance of iron, is only 8 milligram a day. We use in our body maybe 1 to 2 milligram to do all of it, and most of it comes from the recycling from the spleen. So we don't need that much iron from our diet, and that's why 1,000 years ago, when you lived in an iron poor environment, having the gene that helps you conserve iron was a benefit, evolutionary benefit. Now we don't need that because iron is everywhere. So after the age of 30, most people don't need extra iron. So now, as iron continues accumulating in our body, it's bioaccumulative. What happens is iron forms those radicals, and iron also participates in the creation of another molecule called lipofuscin. Lipofuscin is called the brown pigment. This is junk. It's gunk. It's almost like if you change your engine and you see the oil that's all burnt out all around the engine. That's almost what it looks like. And this is what iron can form as radicals. And it goes all into our cells, our mitochondria, and it creates junk.
Mm.
It's rust, it's gunk. So this is what iron does. So I'm looking at somebody like you, even with a ferritin in the 140, you're creating excess oxidant, excess oxidative stress. How do we help you deal with this? So the way you deal with this is, first you want to minimize the amount of oxidants who are coming in, right? And with you, for some reason, your body's processing it very, very well. You're not high. You're out of optimal range, but still, what do you do with this? You want to make sure that you take the right antioxidants to help you deal. That's what we do. And why we take antioxidants, we know it's to improve cellular function. Well, iron management is part of cellular function. And when you take antioxidants, it also helps you deal with the excess generation of ROS from the extra iron. And antioxidants are things like glutathione, the number one, very important. Quercetin, really important polyphenol. Curcumin, selenium, milk thistle, silymarin, boron. A lot of those things, glutathione peroxidase, you take glutathione to make that. So all of those antioxidants help balance out the oxidants that you're creating too much of. So yes, you want more antioxidants, but how do you also decrease your oxidant formation? Is by keeping your ferritin and your iron within the optimal functional medicine range, which would be between 40 to 70. This is where you're good. And the problem is, if you go too low, usually below 30, you will be symptomatic. So it is just like everything in medicine. It's the balance.